I once swore I'd protect Chloe Davis for the rest of my life, to be her faithful knight. When she was dating someone, I ran interference. When she got her heart broken, I was the one sharing a bottle with her until sunrise. Everyone said I was her safe harbor, the one constant in her chaotic life. I almost started to believe in myself, until the night she introduced her new boyfriend to me and said, "This is my best bro, Liam Carter." The night that man got down on one knee and proposed to her, I calmly blocked her number and all her social media profiles. 3 months later, she hammered on my apartment door like a madwoman, her eyes red-rimmed. "How could you just throw me away?" she demanded. I just pointed toward the kitchen, where a figure was busy at the stove. "Sure," I said. "My girlfriend's here. Don't startle her." My phone vibrated against the concrete of the curb I was sitting on, the smoke from my cigarette curling into the cool night air. The wind had a bite to it, and I reflexively hunched my shoulders. Chloe Davis's name flashed on the screen. I stared at it for 3 long seconds, then stubbed out my cigarette and answered. Liam, you have to come. Stop." Her voice was a wreck, drowned out by a thumping bass line and a chaotic roar of background noise that sounded like a garbage disposal trying to eat a box of forks. My brow furrowed into a knot. Location: the usual spot. Eclipse. He dumped me. Ryan, that son of a bitch, he dumped me. Ryan. Again. Was this the 3rd time this month? Or the 4th? I'd lost count. A wave of something heavy churned in my stomach. It wasn't nausea. It was exhaustion. "Stay put. I'm on my way." I hung up, stood, and ordered an Uber. "Eclipse Bar and step on it, please," I told the driver. He glanced at me in the rearview mirror. He must have seen the look on my face because he didn't say a word, just hit the gas. The streetlights streaked past the window, blurring into a single, sickly yellow line. I leaned my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. Chloe. That name had been welded to mine for nearly 20 years. We'd known each other since we were in diapers. She lived in the apartment across the hall. She was always the crybaby, and whenever she got picked on, I was the one she ran to. I was a year older, and it felt like I was born with the job description of being her protector. In school, I fought off the bullies who tried to take her lunch money. After we graduated and she started dating, I was the one covering for her with her overbearing mom. When she got her heart broken, I was the one who bought the whiskey, listened to her curse out the blind bastards who'd wronged her, and then made sure she got home safe. It was a cycle on repeat. A reflex. A sappy love song came on the car radio, all whiny and pathetic. It grated on my nerves. "Can you turn that off, please? It's giving me a headache." The world went quiet. Just the hum of the engine. I thought about yesterday when I'd run into Mrs. Gable from down the hall. She grabbed my arm, all smiles. "Liam, honey," she'd said, "that Chloe is a handful. You're the only one who can manage her. So when are you two tying the knot? I'm waiting for my invitation." I just smiled and said nothing. Everyone thought Liam Carter was Chloe Davis's backup plan, her fallback, her safe harbor. Sometimes, hell, I was almost hypnotized by the idea myself. 20 years. I wasn't her boyfriend, but I did more work than any boyfriend she'd ever had. The car stopped. "Here we are. I'll rate you 5 stars in the app." I paid through my phone and pushed the door open. Under the obnoxious, flashing neon sign of Eclipse, Chloe was crouched on the sidewalk, her head buried in her knees, her shoulders shaking. She was wearing a tiny skirt that was no match for the weather. I walked over, my shadow falling over her. She looked up. Her makeup was a disaster, streaked down her face like war paint. Her eyes were swollen shut. The moment she saw me, her face crumpled and she let out a gut-wrenching sob. She launched herself at me, burying her face in my chest. The stench of booze and cheap perfume hit me like a physical blow. "Liam, how could he do this to me? I loved him so much." My arm stayed stiff at my sides. I didn't pat her back like I usually did. "Let's just get you home." I tried to peel her off me, but she clung on for dear life. "No, I don't want to go home. Liam, you're the only one who's ever been good to me. You never leave me, right?" She tilted her head back, snot and tears glistening on her face, her eyes unfocused. The streetlight cast a pale, ghostly glow on her skin. I looked at that face, a face I'd seen for 2 decades, and for the first time, I felt nothing. A dead calm. "Right," I heard myself say, my voice terrifyingly flat. "I'd never leave you. that seemed to satisfy her. She burrowed back into my chest, nuzzling against my jacket. I knew it. Liam's the best. I supported her weight and walked us toward the street to get another Uber. A black Audi A4 pulled up in front of us and honked lightly. The window rolled down to reveal a man's face, handsome in a clean-cut way, with gold-rimmed glasses. He looked at me, then at Chloe hanging off me, and his brow twitched. "Chloe, what are you doing out here? And this is—" Chloe lifted her head from my chest, squinted for a few seconds, and then a sloppy grin spread across her face. She straightened up, running a hand through her messy hair. "Oh, Dr. Evans. Hiccup. This is my buddy, Liam." She patted my arm, her tone tinged with a weird sort of pride, as if she were showing off a loyal pet. "My ride or die. The guy who's there in a flash, no matter what." I felt the blood in my veins turn to ice. "Buddy, ride or die." Dr. Evans gave me a polite, clinical nod, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. There was a hint of judgment there. "Nice to meet you. I can give Chloe a ride home. It's on my way." Chloe waved a dismissive hand. No, Liam's got it. He came all the way out here just for me." As she spoke, she leaned back against me, muttering, "My knight in shining armor." Dr. Evans didn't press the issue. He gave me one last, complicated look before rolling up his window and driving away. I stood there, the wind hitting the back of my neck, colder than before. Knight. To hell with being a knight. I finally managed to wrestle Chloe into an Uber. She passed out against my shoulder, drooling on my jacket. When we got to her building, I half-carried, half-dragged her upstairs, fished the keys out of her purse, and let us in. The apartment was dark. Her parents were clearly asleep. I deposited her on her bed, took off her shoes, and pulled the comforter over her. The motions were so practiced, so familiar, it felt like my own home. After I was done, I stood by the bed, looking down at her. She was sleeping like the dead. The warm glow of her bedside lamp softened her features. She was quiet when she slept, at least. I remembered when we were kids, she'd be the same way, play until she collapsed, and I'd be the one sitting guard. I'd been on guard for 20 years. I leaned down to take the phone clutched in her hand, so she wouldn't roll over on in the night. She mumbled something in her sleep. "Ryan, don't go." My hand froze midair. Then, slowly, I straightened up. Something deep inside my chest, something I didn't even know was there, quietly cracked. It made no sound, but I felt the fracture spread through me. I turned, closed her bedroom door behind me, and left. Downstairs, outside the building, the wind felt like a razor against my face. I didn't go home. I just walked aimlessly through the empty streets. My mind was blank, yet overflowing. Buddy, Knight, there in a flash. The look in Dr. Evans's eyes. The pride in Chloe's voice. The name of that bastard, Ryan. My legs finally got tired. I found a 24-hour 7-Eleven, bought a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of water, and sat on a plastic chair by the window, staring out at the deserted street. My phone screen lit up, then went dark. Lit up, then went dark. No new messages. Chloe would probably sleep until noon, then send me a text. "Thanks for last night, Liam. You're the best." Followed by a cutesy emoji. Same as always. I picked up my phone, opened my messaging app, and found my chat with her. The last entry was the missed call from earlier. I scrolled up. "Liam, I think he broke up with me again. Come keep me company." "Liam, if my mom asks, just tell her we were at the movies together." "Liam, I forgot my wallet. Can you Venmo me?" "Liam, Liam." The entire screen was my name, like I was some kind of idiot. My finger hovered over the screen. Then I tapped her profile. The same smiling, carefree face I'd seen a million times. My thumb moved to the block option. A prompt appeared. "You will no longer receive messages from this contact." I pressed it. Block. Confirm. The chat history vanished. Next, my contacts. I found Chloe Davis. Delete. Confirm. Done. I tossed the phone onto the table with a clatter. The clerk glanced up from his magazine. I twisted the cap off my water and chugged half the bottle. The cold liquid shocked my system. I didn't feel the relief I expected. I didn't feel regret, either. Just empty. Like I'd finally ripped off a 20-pound weight that had been chained to me for 2 decades. The lightness was unfamiliar. I checked the time. 3:30 a.m. The sky will be getting light soon. I stood up, threw the empty bottle in the trash, and walked out of the 7-Eleven. Time to go home. Life went on. Work, eat, sleep. Without the constant explosions of texts and frantic calls from Chloe, I suddenly had an abundance of time. So much that it felt strange. For the first few days, my hand would twitch toward my phone, convinced it was broken. How could it be so quiet? Then I'd remember. It wasn't broken. I just unplugged the main source of the noise. That weekend, my mom called. Liam, honey, are you coming over for dinner this weekend? What about Chloe? You two should come together. I'm making my pot roast. I walked out onto the balcony with my phone. Can't, Mom. Working this weekend. And she's probably busy. Oh, working late again? You need to take care of yourself. By the way, are you and Chloe fighting? I ran into her mother yesterday, and she said Chloe's been in a funk. Did that Ryan kid upset her again? You should talk to her. Mom, I cut in. Chloe and I are just friends. It's not my place to get involved in her drama anymore. The line was silent for a few seconds. All right, it's your life. Just remember to eat a real meal. I hung up and lit a cigarette. Just friends. I'd said out loud. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Another week passed. I was heading home from work and saw a familiar figure at the entrance to my apartment complex. Chloe. She was standing there, kicking at a loose piece of gravel. It looked like she'd been waiting for a while. I hesitated, thinking about turning around, but she'd already spotted me. She marched right over and blocked my path. Liam, what the hell is your problem? Her eyes were wide, a mixture of anger and, was that hurt? My text won't go through. Your number is disconnected. Did you block me? I just looked at her, saying nothing. The evening sun was in my eyes, and I squinted. She looked like she'd lost some weight. Say something, Liam. Why would you block me? Her voice cracked. These past few weeks, Ryan and I are done for good, and I couldn't find you. Do you have any idea how horrible I've felt? She reached out to grab my arm. I took a step back, and her hand fell into empty space. The expression on her face was like I'd slapped her. Liam, her eyes instantly welled up with tears. What's wrong with you? Are you mad at me? Is it because of what happened at the bar? I was drunk. I didn't mean to be all over you. It's not about that, I said, my voice hoarse. Then what is it? Tears started to roll down her cheeks. You were never like this before? Did someone say something to you? Was it that Dr. Evans? There's nothing going on with him. He's just a new doctor at the hospital. Chloe, I cut off her rambling. She looked at me, her eyes swimming. I took a deep breath. This was all so pointless, so draining. No one said anything to me. I just don't see the point anymore. No point? What is no point? She looked completely lost. Look, I said, trying to find the right words. Try not to be cruel. From now on, when you're in trouble, call someone else. Call your new boyfriend. Call Dr. Evans, whatever. Just don't call me. She froze, as if she couldn't process what I was saying. Liam, you're not going to be there for me anymore. Yeah, I nodded. I'm done. Her jaw dropped. It took her a moment to find her voice. But why? Aren't we best friends? You promised you'd always have my back. Best friends. I looked at her and almost laughed. For 20 years, I'd orbited her life like a moon, lived in her shadow. And all I got in return was best friend. The buddy kind. Chloe, I said, a bitter smile twisting my lips. Even nights get tired of playing the part. She blinked, tears still streaming down her face. Her expression one of utter confusion. She would never get it. I wasn't expecting her to anymore. I'm going home. I sidestepped her and walked past. Liam, she yelled after me, her voice breaking on a sob. Are you really throwing me away? I didn't turn around. The elevator doors slid shut, cutting off the sound of her voice. The world was finally quiet. In the first month after blocking Chloe, I got past the initial weirdness. I started to enjoy a life free of interruptions. On weekends, I could sleep in until noon without worrying about a sudden call to go shopping with her. At night, I could actually play video games without having to be on standby for an emotional support call. It was nice, though sometimes the apartment felt a little too big, a little too quiet. The second month, a huge new project landed at work. I was made team lead, and I was buried. Working late became the norm, which was fine. Being busy left no room to think about anything else. One night, I was at the office until past 10. My stomach was growling, so I decided to head down to the 24-hour convenience store in our building's lobby for a sandwich. The elevator reached the ground floor, and the doors opened. I was looking down at my phone and almost walked straight into someone. Sorry, I mumbled, then looked up and froze. It was Chloe. She'd lost more weight. The trench coat she was wearing seemed to swallow her. Her face was pale, and she had dark circles under her eyes. What was she doing here? She stiffened when she saw me, her fingers tightening around the strap of her purse. Liam. I gave a curt nod, my version of a greeting, and tried to walk past her. Wait, she called out. I stopped, but didn't turn around. I was just in the neighborhood, meeting a friend, she said, her voice sounding strained. Okay. I continued toward the store. She fell in a step beside me. You're just getting off work? Yeah. Have you eaten? About to. An awkward silence fell between us, filled only by the echo of our footsteps in a cavernous lobby. The fluorescent lights of a convenience store were blinding. I pushed open the door, went straight to the refrigerated section, and grabbed a turkey sandwich and a carton of milk. I walked to the counter to pay. Chloe stood just inside the entrance, watching me. I paid, ripped open the sandwich wrapper, and took a huge bite. I was starving. She slowly walked over and stood across from me. Liam, can we talk? I chewed my sandwich, saying nothing. I know, I was awful before. She started, her voice low and thick with unshed tears. I always dumped my problems on you. I took you for granted. I've been thinking a lot, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. I washed the dry sandwich down with a gulp of milk. I shouldn't have used you as my emotional dumping ground. I shouldn't have called you for every little thing. I'll change, okay? I promise. She looked up at me, her eyes red. Can we just go back to how things were? How things were. I looked at her, and the food in my mouth turned to cardboard. We can't go back, Chloe. Her face went even paler. Why not? Is it because I called you my buddy? I'll never say it again. You're not my buddy, you're the most important person in my life. The most important person. I sighed. It has nothing to do with that. Then what is it? She was getting agitated. Liam, just tell me what I have to do. Whatever it is, I'll do it. Just please, don't ignore me. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Her hand hung in the air, trembling slightly. Liam, without you, my life has been awful. Ryan left me, and now you've left me. What am I supposed to do? And there were the tears. The same tears I'd seen 1,000 times before. But this time, they didn't stir a single thing inside me. If anything, they just annoyed me. You were alive before you met me, weren't you? I looked her straight in the eye. Chloe, you're 26, not 6. The world keeps spinning, no matter who gets off. She looked like my words had physically struck her. Liam, how can you be so cold? Cold. Maybe. When your heart freezes over, there's not much warmth left to give. I finished the last of my milk and tossed the empty carton into the trash. I'm done eating. I'm going back up. You should get home. I walked around her and headed back toward the main building. Liam, she cried out from behind me, her voice filled with desperation. Did you find someone else? My footsteps faltered for a second. Found someone else. Where'd Joe? For 26 years, had I ever even looked at anyone else? But she would never understand that. I didn't answer. I just kept walking. The elevator doors closed, and her shrinking figure disappeared from view. I leaned against the cool metal wall, watching the floor numbers climb. I was tired. So damn tired. 5. The project finally wrapped, and my boss gave me a week off. I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed home and decompressed. Slept, played video games, ordered takeout. It was a bit pathetic, but it was peaceful. On the last day of my break, I went downstairs to take out the trash and decided to hit the grocery store. At the entrance to the complex, I saw that black Audi A4 again. Dr. Evans got out of the car, holding a fruit basket. He saw me, paused, and then walked over with a polite smile. Mr. Carter, fancy seeing you here. I nodded. Dr. Evans. His eyes flicked from the trash bag in my hand to my wrinkled sweatpants, and his smile tightened. You live here? Yeah. I'm here to see Chloe. He held up the basket. She's been out sick for a few days, so I thought I'd check in on her. Sick? My face remained impassive. I see. Dr. Evans watched me, as if trying to read something in my expression. He was disappointed. Well, I'll be heading in, he said. Okay. I walked toward the supermarket, my empty trash bag swinging at my side. I felt nothing. She was sick, and a concerned colleague who was obviously interested in her was there to visit. Good for her. It had nothing to do with me. On my way back from the store, loaded down with groceries, I saw that the Audi was still there. Dr. Evans was leaning against it, smoking, a frown on his face. When he saw me, he stubbed out his cigarette and strode over. "Mr. Carter, can we talk for a minute?" I stopped. "What about?" He pushed his glasses up his nose, his tone a mix of scrutiny and irritation. "What, exactly, is your relationship with Chloe?" I had a laugh. He was the second person to ask me that. "Didn't she tell you?" "She said you're good friends, but that her mood lately is because you two had a falling out," he said, his eyes fixed on me. "Mr. Carter, if you're just a friend, don't you think you're overstepping? Or is it something else? Are you in love with her? And this is some kind of twisted revenge." Revenge. I looked at this guy, playing the part of the White Knight, and found it amusing. "Dr. Evans, in what capacity are you asking me this?" "As her boyfriend." His expression faltered. "I'm pursuing her." "Ah, well, good luck with that." I readjusted my grip on the grocery bags. "I have no feelings for her. Not then, not now, not ever. You can pursue her all you want. You don't need to report your progress to me." I started to walk past him toward my building. "Liam," he called after me, his voice sharp with anger. "Do you have any idea how much damage this hot and cold routine of yours does? If you don't like her, why were you so good to her before? You let her get used to you, depend on you, and now you just cut her off. Are you just playing games with her?" I didn't break my stride. Playing games. I played the game for 20 years and played myself into a corner. Now I was done playing. Was that a crime? The elevator arrived. I stepped inside and pressed my floor. The door slid shut, closing on Dr. Evans's angry, self-righteous face. Back in my apartment, I put everything away, cracked open a beer, and sat on the couch. The sky outside was turning a deep purple. My phone rang. An unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello." It was Chloe's voice, thick and nasal, like she'd been crying. "Liam, did Dr. Evans talk to you? Did he say something? Don't listen to him. There's nothing going on between us." I cut her off. "Are you feeling better?" She paused, clearly not expecting the question. "Much better." "Good. That's good. Liam, Chloe," I said, my voice calm and steady. "Don't call me from new numbers. I'll just block them. It's pointless." The other end of the line went silent. I could hear her shaky breaths. After a long moment, she asked, her voice trembling, "Liam, do you really hate me this much?" "Hate? Not really. It wasn't hate. It was nothing. Like an old shirt you finally throw out. You don't wear it anymore, but you don't hate the shirt." "I don't hate you," I said. "I just don't want anything to do with you anymore." With that, I hung up, and I dragged the new number into my block list. The world, at last, was completely and utterly silent. 6, the break ended, and I went back to work. Life fell back into its rhythm. Calm. Predictable. Every now and then, I'd hear bits and pieces about Chloe from my mom or the neighborhood gossips. That she and Dr. Evans seemed to be getting close. That she transferred to a less demanding department at work. That she seemed more mature than before. It all went in one ear and out the other. Her life, good or bad, was no longer my concern. One night after work, my colleagues and I went out for hot pot. We stayed out late, and by the time we left, it was almost 11. We all split up to get Ubers home. I was standing on the corner waiting for my ride, the night air crisp and cool. A car pulled up, and the passenger window rolled down. A vaguely familiar face smiled out at me. A woman with shoulder-length hair and bright eyes. "Liam Carter, do you remember me?" "Sarah. We were in the photography club together in college." It took me a second, but then it clicked. She was a year below me, a really cheerful girl who I think saved me a seat in the darkroom once. "Sarah. Wow. Long time no see." "I know, right? What a coincidence. Where are you headed? We can give you a lift if it's on the way." She gestured to the driver's seat. "My husband's driving, so it's totally safe." I noticed the man behind the wheel for the first time. He gave me a friendly nod. "Thanks, but my Uber's almost here." "Nonsense. It's impossible to get a ride this time of night." "Get in. Don't be a stranger," Sarah insisted. It was hard to refuse her enthusiasm. I thanked them and got in the back. I gave them my address. Sarah turned around in her seat to chat. "I thought that was you at the restaurant, but I wasn't sure. You haven't changed a bit. Still handsome as ever." I chuckled. "Just older. Please. Hey, whatever happened with you? And what was her name, Chloe? You two were inseparable back then." We all thought you were a sure thing. Chloe again. I stared out the window. Nothing happened. We're just friends. Sarah let out a soft, "Oh," sensing I didn't want to talk about it, and smoothly changed the subject. We caught up on work and life. She was married with a 1-year-old, and she radiated a quiet happiness. As we neared my building, she said, "You know, Liam, you had seriously high standards back then. A girl as gorgeous as Chloe was chasing you, and you never even blinked." I blinked now. She never chased me. What? No way, Sarah said, surprised. She was always bringing you drinks, asking you to eat with her, sticking to you like glue at every club event. We all thought she was head over heels for you. I was silent. So that's how it looked to everyone else. And all this time, I thought I was the one standing guard over her. I guess she was just used to hanging out with me. I finally said. The car stopped. "We're here," Sarah's husband announced. "Thanks for the ride." I opened the door. Sarah leaned out. "Hey, Liam, a bunch of us from the club are getting together next weekend. You should come. A lot of old faces will be there." I hesitated. "Come on," she urged. "How long have you been single? Get out and live a little. You might even meet someone." That made me smile. "All right, if I have time, I'll be there. It's a date. I'll text you the details." The car pulled away. I stood there for a moment, watching the tail lights disappear. A strange feeling settled in my chest. So, from the outside, my relationship with Chloe looked completely different. Was I just that clueless? Or was she so used to my devotion that she never considered anything else? It didn't matter anymore. I turned and walked into my building. I went to the reunion that weekend. I saw a lot of old classmates. It was a little awkward at first, but after a couple of beers, everyone loosened up. We laughed about stupid things we did in college. Sarah pulled me aside and introduced me to someone. "This is my best friend, Grace. She's a designer and single." The woman, Grace, smiled at me. It was an easy, open smile. She was pretty in a subtle way, with a calm, confident air about her. Liam. The group started hooting, insisting we do a shot together. The atmosphere was light and fun. I hadn't done something like this in a long time. It felt good. When the party wound down, we all exchanged numbers and followed each other on Instagram. Grace happened to be driving in my direction, so Sarah playfully insisted she give me a ride. In the car, we made small talk. She wasn't overly chatty, but she had a way of making the conversation comfortable. When we got to my building, I got out. "Thanks for the ride. Drive safe." She smiled. "No problem. We should grab dinner sometime." "I'd like that." I watched her car drive off, then headed inside. My phone buzzed. A text from Grace. "Text me when you're inside." I replied, "Home safe. Thanks again." I put my phone down and went to take a shower. The hot water felt incredible. It felt like I hadn't been this relaxed in years. Maybe it was time for a new chapter. When I got out, there was another text. This one from Sarah. "Sue, Grace is great, right? She just texted me and said she thought you were really nice." I smiled as I dried my hair and typed back. "She's a really great person. Then make a move, slowpoke. Don't let this one get away." I chuckled and didn't reply. I turned off the lights and went to sleep. For the first time in a long time, I didn't dream at all. 7 dating Grace was different from anything I'd ever imagined. There was no high-stakes drama. It was just easy, comfortable. If I was working late, she'd have food delivered to my office. On weekends, I'd go over to her place and help her fix her laptop or change a light bulb. We'd go grocery shopping together, fill up the cart, and then go home and cook. Her cooking skills were a work in progress, but she was eager to learn. While I cooked, she'd be my sous chef, washing vegetables or chopping garlic. Sometimes she'd nick her finger and look at me with big, wounded eyes. "Ow." I'd find a Band-Aid and gently wrap it around her finger. "You have to be more careful." "Okay." When I finished, she wouldn't pull her hand away. She'd just look at me, her eyes sparkling. I'd lean down and kiss her fingertip. "All better." And she'd break into a grin, her eyes curving into happy crescents. We argued, of course, over stupid little things. I forgot our 1-month anniversary, and she got quiet. She was late for a date, and I got annoyed. But we never said anything deliberately hurtful. Usually, within an hour, one of us would cave. I'd show up with her favorite pastry, or she'd send me a meme that made me laugh. And that would be that. One evening, after one such argument had been resolved, we went to see a movie. As the credits rolled and the lights came up, she leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Liam, Let's move in together. I froze for a second and turned to look at her. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, but her gaze was steady and serious. My lease is up next month, and you have that spare bedroom. We could save on rent. I knew it wasn't just about the rent. A warmth spread through my chest, grounding me. Are you sure? I asked. She nodded. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I looked into her clear, honest eyes. Okay, I said. She beamed and squeezed my arm tightly. It had started to rain when we left the theater. We didn't have an umbrella. She took off her jacket and held it over both our heads. Run for it. We laughed, sprinting through the drizzle toward the parking garage. The rain soaked our hair and clothes, but I felt warm all over. With her, even a rainy day felt perfect. Grace moved in on a Saturday. She didn't have much stuff. One big suitcase and a few boxes. I helped her unpack. She hung her clothes in the closet next to mine. She arranged her skincare products on the bathroom counter next to my razor. My small, quiet apartment was suddenly filled with her presence. When we finished, we collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. She leaned against me, looking around the room. This feels like home. I wrapped my arm around her shoulder. Yeah. That night, we cooked our first meal in our new home. Just a few simple dishes. We opened a bottle of red wine. To our new place, she said, clinking her glass against mine. To us, I replied. After dinner, she insisted on doing the dishes. I stood in the doorway of the kitchen, just watching her. She had an apron on and was humming to herself over the sound of the running water. It was so peaceful. So this is what it was like building a life with someone. 9, the doorbell rang. It was loud, insistent, and jarring. Who could that be this late? Grace asked, getting up to answer it. I grabbed her arm. I'll get it. A sick feeling started to pool in my stomach. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Under the harsh fluorescent light of the hallway stood Chloe. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were red and puffy, and her face was stained with tears. She was wearing a thin sweater, shivering in the early winter cold. She was mashing the doorbell button over and over with a desperate, frantic energy. My jaw tightened. How did she find me? I'd blocked her everywhere and had been actively avoiding all our old haunts. Who is it? Grace asked from behind me. I took a deep breath and opened the door. I couldn't hide forever. The second the door opened, Chloe's tear-filled eyes locked onto mine. She looked like a drowning person who'd just spotted a life raft. Liam, she started to stumble forward to throw herself at me, but then her gaze drifted past my shoulder and landed on Grace. She froze. The expression on her face shifted from desperation to shock, then to an agonizing, profound disbelief. Grace saw her too. She looked from the crying woman at my door to me, her eyes full of questions. I didn't look back at her. I kept my eyes fixed on Chloe, my voice hard. What do you want? Chloe didn't seem to hear me. Her eyes were glued to Grace, then darted back to me, her lips trembling. Who is she? My girlfriend, I said. Girl. Friend? She repeated the word as if it were in a foreign language. You have a girlfriend. I do. She staggered back, grabbing the doorframe to keep from falling. A fresh wave of tears flooded her eyes. Liam, how could you have a girlfriend? How could you just throw me away? Her voice was a choked sob, full of accusation and wounded pride, as if I'd committed some unforgivable crime against her. Grace came and stood beside me, her hand finding mine and giving it a gentle squeeze. Her palm was warm. Chloe's eyes, red as coals, locked onto our joined hands. Is it because of her? She shrieked, pointing a trembling finger at Grace. Is she why you don't want me anymore? It has nothing to do with her. I cut in. Chloe, we were over a long time ago. Over? What was over? She screamed, her voice hysterical. There was no us to be over. Liam, look at me. Look at me. She lunged forward, trying to grab my arm. I pulled back. Grace took half a step forward, placing herself between us. She was smaller than Chloe, but she didn't back down. Miss, please, you need to calm down, Grace said, her voice even. Let's just talk about this rationally. Chloe glared at her as if seeing her for the first time, her gaze like a physical blow. This is between him and me. It has nothing to do with you. She's my girlfriend now. Her business is my business, I said, pulling Grace back behind me slightly. I looked Chloe straight in the eye. Whatever you have to say it to me. Chloe looked from me to Grace, tears streaming down her face. Liam, I am sorry. I know I was wrong. I won't be selfish anymore. I won't bother you. I'll change. I'll change everything. Just please, don't leave me, okay? She was crying so hard she could barely breathe, looking like a lost, abandoned child. The old me would have caved. The old me would have felt a pang of guilt. But all I felt now was a deep, profound annoyance. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. I just don't need it anymore. She shook her head violently. No, you do. You need me. You promised you'd always take care of me. You promised. That was a long time ago, I said. People change, Chloe. I don't believe you, she shrieked. You're lying. You're just trying to punish me. For being with Ryan, for calling you my buddy, right? He's gone. I'll never see anyone else again. We can go back, okay? Back to how it was. We can't go back, I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. She stared at me, her expression going slack, her eyes vacant, as if her soul had been ripped out. Liam, she whispered, I can't live without you. Yes, you can, I said. The world keeps spinning, no matter who gets off. She stared at me for a long, silent moment. Then a broken, ugly smile spread across her face. It was worse than her crying. Fine, Fine. You're cruel, Liam. You're really, truly cruel. She took 2 shaky steps back. She gave me one last look, an undecipherable mix of hatred, resentment, betrayal, and utter despair. Then she turned and ran, stumbling into the waiting elevator. The door slid shut. The hallway was quiet again. It was just me and Grace, and the faint, cloying scent of Chloe's perfume lingering in the air. Then I closed the door and bolted it. When I turned around, Grace was watching me, her expression calm but searching. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine, I said, shaking my head. I'm sorry you had to see that. Was that her? Your childhood friend? Yeah. Grace didn't press for more details. She just walked over, wrapped her arms around my waist, and rested her head against my chest. She seemed really heartbroken. I didn't say anything. I just held her, my mind a jumble. Chloe's final, haunted look was burned into my memory. I knew she was hurting, but this was the path she'd chosen, and I had chosen mine. There was no going back. Liam, Grace said, tilting her head up to look at me. Do you still have feelings for her? I met her gaze. Her eyes were clear, but I could see a flicker of insecurity in their depths. I shook my head. No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. She studied my face for a few seconds, as if trying to gauge my honesty. Then, she smiled and settled back against my chest. Good. We stood there like that for a while, the only sound the mindless chatter from the TV. Do you think she'll do something? Stupid. Grace asked suddenly. My body tensed. I don't know. Chloe was prone to emotional extremes. When she and some guy in college broke up, she'd made a half-hearted attempt with a razor and some sleeping pills. Both times, I was the one who found her and got her to the hospital. But this time, should you maybe call one of her friends? Or her parents? Grace suggested softly. I thought about it, then pulled out my phone. I scrolled through my contacts until I found a number I hadn't called in years. One of Chloe's best friends. I dialed. She picked up after a few rings. Hello, Liam? Is hell freezing over? Why are you calling me? She asked, shocked. Megan, is Chloe with you? No, I haven't seen her in a few days. Why? What's wrong? She just showed up at my place. She was really upset. I'm worried she might do something. Oh, what now? Did she and DR Evans have a fight? DR Evans? I paused. She and DR Evans are? Yeah, they've been dating for a while now, haven't they? I heard they're about to meet the parents. Oh, never mind then. If you hear from her, just keep an eye on her. Will do. Hey, wait, are you too? I hung up before she could finish. So, she was dating DR Evans. Then what the hell was that whole performance about? Was she just upset that I moved on? That her loyal safety net had finally been removed? Pathetic. What is it? Grace asked. It's nothing, I said, tossing my phone onto the couch. She's fine. She's with someone else. She's not going to do anything. Grace nodded slowly, but I could tell the mood in the room had shifted. The peace was gone. 11, I knew what she was thinking. She was worried. Worried that I was still hung up on Chloe. Worried that one day I'd go running back. I tried to be better, to reassure her. I came home from work earlier. We planned a weekend trip to a little town upstate. I bought her a necklace she'd been admiring. but her smile didn't always reach her eyes anymore. One night, we went to see a romance movie. The ending was cliché. The hero and heroine overcome a mountain of obstacles to finally be together. Grace cried. After the movie, as we were walking out, her eyes were still red. I handed her a tissue. She dabbed at her eyes and said suddenly, "Liam, do you ever feel like we're too easy? Is easy a bad thing?" I asked. "No, but it feels like something's missing." She stared at the distant city lights. "There's no grand passion, no epic struggle. It's just comfortable, like lukewarm water." I was quiet for a moment. "Do you want an epic struggle?" She shook her head, then nodded. "I don't know. I just wonder sometimes, if I were ever in real trouble, like in the movies, would you fight for me like that? Would you be my hero?" "I would," I said without hesitation. She turned to look at me. "Really? Really?" She smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. "Okay, good." 12 We went to a friend's wedding. It was a beautiful outdoor ceremony on a sprawling lawn. During the bouquet toss, the bride made a point of throwing it directly at Grace. She caught it out of sheer reflex, then blushed furiously as everyone cheered. I looked at her, her face glowing in the afternoon sun, and felt something shift inside me. Maybe it was time. On the drive home, Grace was in high spirits, clutching the bouquet. "You know what they say," she said playfully. "Whoever catches the bouquet is the next one to get married." "I've heard that," I said. We were stopped at a red light a few blocks from our apartment. Grace pointed to a new bakery on the corner. "Ooh, I've heard their tiramisu is amazing. Can we stop?" "Sure." The light turned green. I put on my turn signal and started to make a right. Suddenly, an electric scooter shot out of the bike lane, blowing through the red light, heading straight for us. "Liam, look out!" Grace screamed. I yanked the wheel hard to the left and slammed on the brakes. The screech of tires filled the air. Crunch! The front of our car still hit the scooter. The rider and his vehicle went flying. My mind went blank for a second. My first, immediate instinct was to look at Grace. "Are you okay?" Her face was as white as a sheet. She had her hand pressed to her chest, her whole body trembling. I'm okay. Are you okay?" "I'm fine." I unbuckled my seatbelt and got out. The rider was a middle-aged man, groaning on the asphalt. He seemed more scraped up than seriously injured. A crowd started to gather. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911, then called the police. After making the calls, I realized my palms were slick with sweat. I looked back at my car. The right headlight was shattered and the bumper was dented. But we were okay. That's what mattered. Grace got out and rushed to my side, grabbing my arm. Her hand was shaking. "It's okay," I said, patting her hand. "We're okay." The ambulance and police arrived quickly. They took statements, assigned fault. The scooter rider was 100% at fault, but he didn't have insurance or money to pay for the damages. It was dark by the time we finished. The car was towed to a body shop, and we got a cab home. Grace was silent the whole ride, just leaning heavily against me. When we got inside our apartment, she wrapped her arms around me from behind, holding on so tightly I could barely breathe. "Liam," she said, her voice choked with tears. "What's wrong? Are you still scared?" I asked, turning to hold her. She shook her head against my chest. "No. It's just, the first thing you did was check on me." I didn't know what to say. I was so scared in that moment. But when I saw you looking at me, making sure I was okay, I wasn't scared anymore. She pulled back to look at me, her eyes wet but shining brighter than I'd ever seen them. "I get now, Liam. I know where your heart is." She stood on her toes and kissed me. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was fierce and certain, full of post-crash adrenaline and the relief of a question finally answered. It was like a switch had been flipped. The last shadow of doubt in Grace's eyes was gone. Her smile was bright and unclouded again. That weekend, we went to look at an open house for a new condo development. Grace fell in love with a unit that had a huge balcony. "We could plant so many flowers out here. And we have to get a swinging chair," she said, gesturing excitedly. Watching her, I felt a deep sense of rightness. We left the sales office, walking out into the bright sunshine. "I'm craving hot pot," Grace declared. "You got it." She linked her arm through mine as we walked, humming a cheerful tune. My phone rang. It was my mom. "Hey, Mom." "Liam, honey, what you up to?" "Grace and I are looking at condos." "Condos? That's wonderful. Did you find one?" "Not yet. Just looking." "Well, you let me know when you do." Oh, speaking of which, my mom's voice became hesitant. Did you know that Chloe girl is getting married? My steps faltered. Grace noticed and looked up at me. No, I didn't, I said. Next month. To that Dr. Evans. Her mother dropped off an invitation for us. Are you going? No. I figured. It's a shame you two were so close. Mom, I gotta go, we're about to eat. Okay. Talk to you later. I hung up. Grace looked at me. What's wrong? Chloe's getting married. Grace just said, oh. There was no surprise or alarm in her voice. Next month. I see. We kept walking. After a block, Grace spoke again. Does that make you sad? I shook my head. No. Really, I said, stopping to look at her. The only person on my mind right now is you. She beamed, leaning in to give me a quick kiss on the cheek. Good answer. The sun caught in her hair, creating a golden halo around her. My heart felt calm, full and warm. The past was finally in the past. What I had now, that was real.